So Lars from Metallica, you guys have a new album coming out at some point in the near future, right?
Compared to the age of the Earth and the age of man populating this wonderful planet, it is very close by. Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath or skip going to the bathroom, but it's coming.
Gotcha. So I have a question about new things, and there's no wrong answer here. So, like, for instance, would you rather have a new best friend or a new episode of the TV show Friends?
I'll go for the former, please.
Your best friend right now is no good?
Huh?
You have your best friend right now? Like, who is your best friend right now, would you say?
My best friend is my wife.
Aw,
Okay.
that's sweet.
No, I'm not I said another best friend.
Oh, an additional. You would want to change.
No. I'm not I don't watch a lot of episodic television. So I'm not almost anything that involves television I'll walk away from. Okay.
Fair enough. What would you rather have? New socks or a new haircut? What makes you feel better?
As you can probably tell, I don't really cut my hair very often. There's not much of it left anyway, so it just grows wild like, crazy shrubbery out in the forest. I don't really wear socks, but
what's your reasoning for that?
I'm not sure I have a deep scientific answer for that. There's no political or any other
You're not making
motivation.
a statement?
I do occasionally wear socks when I wear boots, but it's not very much. But I guess a nice pair of socks, light gray maybe.
That's sure. Okay. What would you rather have? A new sensation or a new attitude?
I think the attitude's fine. So if there's another sensation, you can take another sensation. Sure. Is that an in excess cover?
Yeah, exactly right. And new attitude, of course, Patti LaBelle. Just curious. So we're talking about new things here with Lars from Metallica. What would you rather have? A new first name or a new baby?
I think that I'll take a new first name.
What would you want it to be? I mean, Lars is a great name. Of course, we all know this. But
James?
Just for confusion's sake.
I could be James Kirk Robb. That'd be my new name.
Which do you like more, the new lineup of Journey or the new lineup of Foreigner?
I'm not familiar with either enough to give a qualified answer. But I commend both for sticking to it and having new lineups. So I'm going to have to be impartial on that one, right down the middle.
Obviously, that's something you guys have experienced. Is it when someone new enters your world from something so tightly knit like a band? Is it a different experience each time, or is there something like you could say you could give advice to those bands, like if someone is bringing in a new singer, new drummer, new guitarist, whatever? Like, what was, as someone who's been around for so long and picked up new people, what would be your piece of advice to a band looking to do that?
I think it's hard, because every circumstance is different. I mean, it's hard. Everybody's got different motivations and different things that drive them, and I think it's always difficult to sit outside and go, you should do it this way, you should do it that way. You never know what drives people, so I'm a very firm believer in letting people kind of do what they want, and they probably prefer, people keep their noses out of it, so I'll keep my nose out of their business, both Foreigner and Journey, and commend both of them for doing what they're doing. All right,
so what, you say you don't watch a lot of episodic TV.
I do not know.
What was your last favorite TV show that you can
Entourage.
remember? Entourage. You said about the movie.
Yeah, sure. The previews look fun and spunky. Yeah. Absolutely.
Did you say spunky?
Spunky, yeah. They look spunky. There you go.
Would you say that you, Lars, do identify with any particular member of that entourage?
No, I think it's. Listen, I got sucked into it back when it came out, and like I said, I'm more of a feature kind of a guy. I see a lot of films, documentaries, or indies, or whatever. Television generally, say, generally hasn't been edgy enough for me, but obviously that continues to change with the True Detectives of the world. And
oh, did you catch that first season?
I haven't seen it yet, but it continues to change. I mean, so True Detective or things like the Louis show or whatever. So obviously things are getting edgier. But you know, when Entourage came out, it's probably a good 8 years ago now. It was I really liked the way that it weaved kind of the real world into the dramatic world, and I thought it was really kind of interesting how a lot of people played themselves, and you know, there was fictional characters and real characters.
I don't recall. Were you all were not involved in Entourage in Metallica, were you?
Never asked.
Oh well, let it
Hey,
be.
I'm still waiting for the phone to ring. I met one of the guys one night at a dinner or at a party or something. I said, listen, if you ever get stuck, if anybody ever cancels, you know, call. But that hasn't happened yet, but we'll see.
Well, finally, so to wrap things up here, we're talking about new stuff. Give me a recommendation. You say you do watch a lot of documentaries. What's a newer or newish documentary that's maybe undiscovered that you recommend for folks that you enjoyed?
Undiscovered?
Or lesser known, I should say. Most documentaries aren't well known, of course.
God, I see so many. I saw last one I saw was about 3 nights ago was the Kurt Cobain one, which I thought was very interesting, very unique, very daring. And that was about as intimate a portrait of anybody as you're ever going to get. So I was quite compelled by that, and quite thought it was very unique. What other ones have we seen lately? I saw the one on the LA studio, studio session musicians, the guy that played on all the sort of like all these like pop tracks in the 60s and 70s, which was fascinating. What else have I seen?
Can I ask you, because you guys obviously were famously and quite popularly the subject of about 10 years ago now, wasn't it?
Yes.
Would you be willing or have any desire to do that again, to have yourselves, your lives, and your creative process filmed again?
Yes and no. I mean, it's obviously increasingly more and more becomes not just about the music, but about so many other things in terms of just being, relevant and being in a band in 2015. So you continue to sort of realize that you may have to let cameras into, the creative process, the recording process, or whatever. So it's yes and no. The cameras, it was a very difficult time, and the cameras were so close that they, in some way, you could argue, actually may have helped the situation a little bit, because the cameras almost, it's like they demand the truth, or they bring the truth out of you. But it was also a very hard process. I don't know if I could go through it again at that level. So we'll see. But I mean, basically, as you can see yourself, I mean, when I did interviews 10 years ago, it was an interview. Now it's an interview and being filmed. And so basically everything you do, whether it's a meet and greet or an interview or, going down to the studio, I mean, you're sort of pretty much always filmed. And I think you just have to kind of be at peace with that. You know what I mean? So I sort of accept it. I don't know if we're going to go through like another process as intimate as the one that we did 10, 12 years ago. But, film is always interesting. And obviously the Through the Never from a couple of years ago was creatively satisfying also.